Before we jump into today's video, I want to take a moment to tell you about eBayForTheWin.com. If you're like millions of people, myself included, you're probably now looking for a way to offload a last-gen device because we know the shiny new iPhone 6 and 6 Plus is out. There's all sorts of really cool Android devices, and you might be finding yourself with a couple of extra devices you don't need. Now, right now, if you head on over to eBayForTheWin.com, you can get up to $400 for your last-gen device. And in fact, they are so convinced that your device will sell. For a limited time, if it doesn't sell, they're gonna give you a $100 coupon. So why should this thing be collecting dust in your drawer? Head on over to eBayForTheWin.com right now, or at the end of this video. And if you do go now, please come back to the video and find out how much your last-gen device is worth. So go, at the end of this video. Or if you go now, just come back. That'll work too. What is going on, guys? JayzTwoCents here, bringing you my video about the iPhone 6. Now, I was a little bit unsure about how I wanted to approach this video. I didn't know if I wanted to do a specs overview video, an unboxing. An unboxing would have been kind of silly for this device. Actually, there's really not a whole lot in the box. I mean, here's the box. There's some Apple earbuds and a charger, and you're done. So, yeah, anyway, I went ahead and picked up the iPhone 6, not the 6 Plus. But I'm gonna go ahead and be honest with you guys, I am not an Apple fanboy. I am not the kind of guy who's like, I have to have the latest iPhone because that's what makes me cool and accepted amongst the hipsters. Now, one thing I wanna go ahead and say at the start of this video, I know it's not gonna make much difference in the comments, but guys, I'm one of those rare people who carry full-time two phones, one for work, one for personal. And my personal phone now being the iPhone 6, 64 gig in white silver. But I also carry a Galaxy S3 from Samsung for work. So I have the unique position of being one of those people who use Android and iPhone on a daily basis. So please don't tell me Android can do this and Android can do that and Apple can't do this. And I know, guys, I've got them both right here. I've also got a Nexus 7 HD tablet as well as an Apple iPad. Now, what also makes me qualified to kind of give my opinion about the way the iPhone 6 feels and first impressions, from my opinion, is my company. We do software development. In fact, we write mobile apps, proprietary mobile apps, and we have 150 devices in our company. Most of them iPhone, some of them Android. And I know what it's like to support these devices because I work in IT. So I know all of the ins and outs of Android probably more intimately than anybody who would want to give me any sort of opinion about why I was stupid to get the iPhone 6. But I'm going to tell you guys why I got the iPhone 6. That's the whole point of this video, isn't it? All right, so I'm coming from the iPhone 5, not the iPhone 5S. And in fact, the iPhone 5 was the longest I've ever owned a device. I owned it for the full 2 years, from launch of the iPhone 5 through the iPhone 5S and to the iPhone 6. Now, the form factor of the iPhone 5 I felt was perfect. Its squared edges made it easy to hold. I always had a case on it, but the squared edges made it easy to hold. It was nice and thin. The form factor was good. I could reach anywhere on the screen with my thumb, and I really enjoyed that. Now, I was actually a little bit concerned about the bigger iPhone screen. Yeah, I'm one of the few people who was like, I like the size of the iPhone. And the bigger screen is nice, but I do find myself now, this is kind of like an awkward angle, huh? I feel like a T-Rex. The iPhone 6 now is one of those devices that I cannot reach the entire screen with my thumb. And that was actually one of the things I didn't like about the Samsung. Yeah, guys, I don't like massively sized screens. So that's reason number one why I did not go with the iPhone 6 Plus. I don't care for the Note. I certainly don't care for the Plus. It is far too big. So I'm gonna go ahead and set my Android aside over here. I'm gonna leave it right here in view. Maybe people will be able to see that that's a Samsung, and you won't be like, hey bro, you should have got a Samsung. Hey bro, you should have got an M8. Whatever. All right, so the iPhone 6, the size of this is actually quite impressive though, considering how thin it is. I mean, what's impressing me overall when it comes to technology is not just how thin the iPhone is, but how thin all the devices are. I mean, we are getting to the point to where we're getting massively sized screens, super thin, which means once you put a case on it, you're not adding a ton of bulk, and things are just really, really starting to feel nice in the hand. Now, the one thing I don't like about the iPhone 6, it's the same thing I didn't like about my Samsung, is the rounded edges. I don't like the way that that feels so slippery in my hand, like I'm gonna drop it. The squared edges of the iPhone gave it a nice sturdy grip, and I never felt like I was gonna drop this thing. So ever since the iPhone 4 with its squared edges, it was much more comfortable to hold than any Android device in my opinion. This is my first time using the fingerprint reader thing, which you guys all know came out with the iPhone 5S, but I really like that. What I do find a little bit kind of taking some time to get used to is the location of the sleep switch. In fact, for the first day I had the phone, I kept squeezing the top of my phone with my body glove case. I actually picked up a body glove case for this. It's a stimulated carbon fiber. It's kind of neat. But I found myself squeezing the hell out of the top of my device going, whoa, the screen turned on, and I'm forgetting that it's on the, so that took a little bit of getting used to. But the overall design is super sleek. It's very, very light. But the camera protruding out of the back was something that I didn't really expect that from Apple. And I think I even commented on that during the keynote for the iPhone launch. I even mentioned on Twitter. In fact, if you're not following me on Twitter, you should. I had a lot of interesting things to say about the device on there. The protrusion from the back of the phone, I feel like is a design compromise they made for the thinness of the phone. And it's only protruding about maybe 1.5 millimeters. And that would have been okay with an extra millimeter thickness on the phone, because you could have probably even fit a larger battery in there. So I find that to be one of those design compromises that I was a little bit confused about. I think it's one of those things where if Steve Jobs was still around, that may not have ever happened. Now, iOS 8 works as smooth as you would expect from a company that designed the hardware and the software. They work together flawlessly. I did have some issues though with my Wi-Fi. Once again, I was pretty vocal on Twitter about the Wi-Fi issues I was having, where I was only getting 0.4-ish megabits down and 0.1 megabits up on my Wi-Fi. But it turns out that the issue is you have to change your DNS servers from your default DNS when you set up your router to something like OpenDNS or Google's DNS, which is 8.8.8.8, and then everything starts working. I found that very, very strange, but whatever, I'm sure there'll be a software fix for that. It was a deal breaker for me until I found the workaround, then I was happy. Games on this are absolutely phenomenal. You guys might find this a little bit surprising. I actually spend more time doing mobile platform gaming on my iPhone and my Galaxy than I ever do on computer or console. Yeah, guys, I own a console. Can you believe it? Yeah, I'm probably just breaking hearts all over the internet right now, aren't I? But the loading speeds on here are super fast due to the nice upgraded hardware in this, that A10 processor, the extra RAM. I mean, everything on here just works beautifully. Now, one of the reasons why I wanted this phone is because I'm a content producer. I really liked the idea of having a higher quality phone camera, both front facing and rear facing, and that 120 FPS slow motion mode. 60 FPS is nice. I've got that on my this thing right here. But 120 FPS, I think I can find some creative ways to start using that in the future. Now, overall, I'm really happy with the device, and I expect this one to last me at least 2 years. Now, it begs the question, Jay, why didn't you get an Android? Personally, guys, I like the simplicity of the UI. I don't use widgets. I don't care about widgets. I live a very technical lifestyle. I work in software development. I work in support. I work in QA. I'm doing the YouTube thing. I'm constantly looking at things at a very technical perspective. And when I pick up my phone, I do very simple things on it. Therefore, I want a very simple device. Well, Jay, you can set up Android to be as simple as you want. Therein lies the problem. I don't want to set up anything. I'm very, very simple when it comes to my devices, and that's all I want. So the simple UI of iOS, the simple integration between hardware and software just working flawlessly. And like I said, because I am coming from also a Android perspective, simultaneously, again, I don't know many people who actually carry both phones at the same time. Those of you who do know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you don't, it's probably a foreign concept that you just aren't gonna grasp. But I digress. Now guys, I know there's a lot of things this phone can do that I didn't cover today, but this was more or less my impressions of the iPhone 6 and why I went with the iPhone 6. And some of you right now are probably completely and utterly disappointed and heartbroken that I picked up the iPhone. But like I said, don't fret. I'm one of those few people who actually use both. And here it is. And no, I didn't just borrow this phone from somebody to make a point in this video. It's actually mine, I promise. I think one of my favorite games on here is Marshmallows and Spaghetti, if you guys know what that game is. It's really addicting. And if you guys don't know what it is, you should go and download it. Marshmallow and Spaghettis is a lot of fun. It's a little building app. Then you take marshmallows and you stick spaghetti sticks in it. You have to build structures. It's really cool. All right, guys, I'm gonna get on out of here. Tell me what you guys thought about the little integrated ad in the beginning of this video. It's actually the first time I've done that. And you may have noticed that there was no Google AdSense ad on this video because of that. So I'm kind of playing around with things to see how we can progress the channel in the future without getting entirely too invasive either and keeping things relevant all at the same time. YouTube is by far the most interesting MMO I have ever played. Alright guys, it's time to get the heck on out of here. What device are you using? Go ahead and just duke it out in the comments. I know you guys are gonna all start fighting amongst yourself because we're all fanboys on some level, aren't we? Yep, I went there. Alright guys, follow on Twitter if you have any questions. As always, I will see you in the next one.
That I've seen that's actually a micro ATX or smaller. I mean, look at the size of this box. It's not a very big box to be holding something that's a double wide cube design. So let's go ahead and take a look at this bad boy.